fly for work. A lot. Averaging 2 flights a week. For the past 3 years, I've been in more airports than I can count, on more planes than I can remember. You'd think after that many flights, the details blur together. They mostly do, except for him. I first noticed him on a flight to Denver maybe a year and a half ago. Middle-aged, gray cardigan, reading a paperback with a cracked spine. He was in 14C. I was in 15C, so I was staring at the back of his head mostly, but I remember him because right as we hit turbulence over the Rockies, he turned around and smiled at me. Not a nervous, ha-ha turbulence smile. Just a smile. Like we were sharing a joke. I didn't think about him again until 4 months later on a completely different airline, flying to Chicago. I got to my seat, 22D, and there he was, 3 rows up in 19C. Same cardigan, same book, same cracked spine, held at the same page. I told myself it was a coincidence. People wear cardigans, people read paperbacks. It's a big enough sample size of humans that repeats happen. But then it kept happening. 6 more flights over the next year, different airlines, different routes, different times of day. Boston to Miami, Miami to Newark. A regional puddle jumper from Newark to some tiny airport in Vermont I'd never even heard of, that I only flew because of a work emergency. He was on that one too. Always a C seat, always a handful of rows ahead of me, always that same book at that same page, like he'd never once turned it. I started doing what I probably should have done from the start, which is ask someone. On the Vermont flight, I stopped a flight attendant on my way off the plane and asked, as casually as I could manage, if she knew the man in the gray cardigan, if he was maybe airline staff, a frequent flyer program thing, anything that would explain it. She looked at me like I'd asked her something in a foreign language. She said there was no one matching that description on the manifest. I said he was sitting right there, 3rd row, and she said the seat next to the window in that row had been empty the entire flight. She'd walked the aisle for the beverage service. She would have noticed. I want to be clear that I saw him. I have not lost my mind, or at least I don't think I have. I saw him get up at baggage claim in Denver. I watched him hail a cab outside Miami International. These aren't hallucinations, you can hail a cab. Around the 4th or 5th time, I tried to photograph him, discreetly, pretending to take a picture out the window. In every photo, the seat is there, the cardigan is there, draped over the armrest, like he just stepped away. His face never came out clearly. Not blurry exactly. More like the camera had focused on something just past him every single time, no matter how carefully I framed it. I deleted the photos eventually. Looking at them too long gave me a headache behind my eyes that lasted for hours. The last time was 2 months ago, flying home from a conference in Seattle. I'd started embarrassingly checking seat maps obsessively before every flight, scanning for a C seat that might be his, though I never knew what that would even mean if I found one. This flight, the plane was maybe a 1/3 full. I had 8A entirely to myself, an entire empty row. He was in 14C anyway, same row he'd been in the very first time I saw him. I didn't say anything to him that flight. I didn't ask anyone about him. I just watched the back of his head for 4 hours, and somewhere over Idaho, without turning around, he said, loud enough for only me to hear over the engine noise, "Almost done." I haven't flown since. I know I'll have to eventually. My job requires it, and I can only push it off so long before it becomes a conversation with HR I don't want to have. But some nights I think about what he meant. Almost done with what? The flight, the book. Whatever score he's keeping row by row, one C seat at a time, across every airline and every city on a schedule that only makes sense to him. And some nights I wonder if the next time I fly, I won't find him in 14C anymore. I wonder if I'll finally look down at my own ticket and see that I've been upgraded. I worked overnight cleaning crew at a mid-size regional airport for 2 years before I quit. Not because of the pay, which was bad, or the hours, which were worse, but because of Gate 33. Gate 33 had been closed for as long as I worked there. Not decommissioned, not renovated, just closed. Rope stanchions across the jet bridge entrance, the monitor above the counter perpetually dark, dust on the check-in desk that nobody bothered clearing because nobody was supposed to be there. My understanding was that a regional carrier had gone under years back and the gate never got reassigned. Some zoning quirk with the jet bridge that made it not worth the airport's time to fix. For the first year, it was just a dead gate. I'd push my cart past it every night around 2 or 3 a.m. and think nothing of it, other than a passing thought about how eerie an empty terminal looks at that hour even without a dead gate in it. Then the announcement started. The first time I assumed I'd misheard the automated boarding system, which sometimes glitched and played old announcements at random. A calm, pre-recorded voice. Now boarding all rows for Gate 33. I looked up, half expecting to see a stray passenger wandering toward it. But the terminal was empty, the way it always was at that hour. I made a note to tell maintenance about the glitch and kept pushing my cart. It happened again 2 weeks later. Then again, closer together, maybe once a week, always between 2 and 4 a.m., always the same message, always for a gate that had no flights, no staff, no reason to exist in the system anymore. I asked a supervisor about it during a shift change. He got quiet in a way I didn't like and told me the PA system there was old and old systems glitch and I should stop paying attention to it. I wish I'd taken that advice. About 8 months in, I was doing my usual pass near Gate 33 when the announcement played again. Except this time, it didn't stop at the boarding call. The voice kept going, and it stopped being the standard script. It started reading names. I don't remember most of them. I remember one because it happened to be close to my own. My name is Jonathan. No middle initial, but the name it read was close enough that I stood there with my cart, waiting. I don't know what for. Confirmation, maybe. Correction. The list went on for almost a full minute. First and last names read in that same flat automated cadence. Please proceed to the gate. Over and over. For a gate with the lights off and the jet bridge sealed with rope since before I was hired. I told 2 co-workers about it before I told anyone official, mostly because I needed to say it out loud to someone who might believe me. One laughed it off, said the whole terminal creeped him out after midnight, and this was just my brain filling in the blanks. The other one went quiet, the same way the supervisor had, and told me carefully, like he was choosing each word, that he'd stopped taking his cart down that hallway years ago and rerouted his whole nightly pass to avoid it, and that I should think about doing the same. I asked him why. He said he didn't want to talk about it twice in 1 week. I did what you're supposed to do, which is reported up the chain, and what I got back, eventually filtering down through people who did not want to talk about it, was that Gate 33 had been the site of an accident decades back before the airport's current ownership. Nobody would say what kind. When I pushed, The most I got was that it had involved a full flight, and it had involved a fire, and it had involved nobody making it off the jet bridge. I quit not long after the name list happened a second time, this time with my actual full name on it, no near misses. I don't work nights anymore, and I don't work at airports anymore, and if I never hear another automated boarding announcement for the rest of my life, I'll consider that a mercy. But I still fly sometimes for family things I can't avoid, and every single time, without exception, I find myself checking the gate number on my ticket against the numbers 30 through 35, making sure mine isn't among them. So far, it never has been. I try not to think about what happens on the day it is. I travel constantly for work, and if there's one part of flying I've never had a problem with, it's the wait at baggage claim. I check a bag, I get a coffee, I watch the carousel, my bag comes out, eventually I go home. Simple, boring, forgettable. Until the bag started arriving before me. The first time I chalked it up to an airline mistake, a good one for once. I landed in Dallas, walked to Carousel 4, and my bag, my actual bag, the beat-up Navy one with the busted wheel and the luggage tag from a work trip 2 years back, was already going around. Not just already unloaded, already circling, alone on an otherwise empty carousel, before the monitor even listed my flight as having landed. I remember laughing about it to the guy next to me, saying something like, "Guess my bag beat me here," and grabbing it and going home. The second time it happened, 3 weeks later in a different city, I stopped finding it funny. Same thing. I get to the carousel and it's already there, circling by itself. Monitor still showing in transit for my flight. I checked with an agent this time, half expecting an explanation about connecting flights or bags getting rerouted early. She checked the system, told me my bag was still logged as being on the aircraft that had just landed, the one I just walked off of. According to the airline's own system, it hadn't been unloaded yet. According to my own eyes, it was already going around the belt, had clearly been going around for a while, since the strap had fully unraveled from repeated turns, the way it does after a bag's been circling untouched for a long time. I want to be honest that at this point I started dreading the baggage claim part of every trip, which had never once bothered me before. I started requesting carry-on, only whenever I could, but some trips, work trips especially, I don't have a choice. Between the second and third time, I put one of those little Bluetooth trackers in the bag's side pocket, telling myself it was just so I'd stop losing track of it at connections. What it actually showed me, checking the app late one night out of a habit I couldn't break, was a location history that didn't line up with any itinerary I'd flown. Stops in cities I hadn't been to, hours logged in, places the bag had no reason to pass through, on days I hadn't traveled at all. I told myself it was a glitch in the app, the same way the airline system was apparently glitching about when the bag existed. I stopped checking it after that. Some questions I decided I'd rather not have answered. The third time is the one I can't explain away, no matter how many times I try. I was flying home late, a nearly empty flight, last one of the night into a regional airport with exactly one carousel and no crowd to speak of. I got to baggage claim and there was nothing on the belt. No bag. I actually felt relieved, weirdly, like the streak had finally broken. Then an airport employee, an older guy running a floor buffer nearby, stopped what he was doing and asked me without any prompting if I was looking for the Navy bag with the broken wheel. I hadn't described it. I hadn't said anything to him at all. He told me it had come off the belt 20 minutes earlier, before my flight had even landed, and that he'd put it aside near the office because it looked like nobody was claiming it. He said it had been going around a while before he pulled it, and when I asked how long, he just said longer than it should have been, and didn't want to be more specific than that. I took the bag. I didn't ask him anything else, because some part of me didn't want an answer. I still fly for work. I still check a bag most trips because a lot of the time I don't have a choice. But now, every time I land, I walk to baggage claim slowly. And some nights, if I let myself, I imagine my bag already down there, circling, waiting for me, having arrived by some route I was never on. I try not to think about where it's been in the meantime.